Okay, so hello everyone, welcome back, my fellow friend. So there is another problem here. This house will adopt student loan mechanism in Indonesia. So guys, we're gonna explain again about the loan mechanism in Indonesia. Well, I personally think it's not good. But before we start to my argumentation, my name is Raditya Fasnararia from 110 Senior High School. Let me continue to my argumentation. Why I personally think it's not good? Because there is so many misuse. What kind of misuse? Like for example, the misuse for KJP. And I'ma tell you the percentage of the misuse. It's 19.4%, and that is really many. Now let me continue. So KJP, the government add fund to the person who have KJP, right? But there is so many cases about the misuse about KJP. For example, the government add fund to the person who have KJP, but their point is to support them. To support them in what? In studying or learning term. We could say it is for school support. However, many people still use them, but it's the wrong way. It's for the needs outside of school terms, and me, I personally cannot accept that. Now let's get into the real argumentation. And there is the risk, and the risk is really high if it is adopted in Indonesia. The mechanism, the loan mechanism. Just imagine this. There is some people who have the mindset, and that mindset is they have the money equal it is free to use. Just by hearing that, that is so wrong, right? First of all, of course, for example, if the student got the money and it is for school use or campus, etc., but instead, what if they spend it for outside school use? Really risky, right? For more example, they use it for their lifestyle, to cool gadgets, luxury item, fancy lifestyle. It is so risky and really, really wrong. That's why I cannot accept that. But I have some more point. Because why didn't I accept it? I didn't agree with it. Now let's go to the second point. Now imagine if the students have so many loans, they mostly have to force themselves to work side job. And it is a big problem because imagine they felt forced and have to study at the same time for their college, and the impact, the student will likely overloaded. Because of that, all the grades most likely will go down. Now, not just that, not just 2 points. I have two more. It's really many, and this is a huge problem. And now let's go to another example. The psychology effect after graduate. When they graduate, instead of celebrating, they will mostly got mental hit because they realized they must pay the loan. This triggers financial anxiety in the younger generation. It triggers depression too, and it can affect more impact. So let me talk about one more example, the moral issues. Inside Indonesia, there is some people like the type of hard to pay when in debt. It is a fact phenomenon. Well, let's not go into the government first. Even when they have in debt with their own friend, some people might act like they have amnesia, even though the person is healthy enough. like there is nothing wrong with them. Now, I have this scenario. Now let's think of this scenario. If some students comes from the low class family, the one it have some low income, if the students accept the loan to continue college, it's good, right? To continue our study in college, as colleges. But after they graduate, he will likely hard to find jobs because most of them search for their experience, or the number of graduates is much greater than the number of employment opportunities available. That's why. And we could say automatically, if it is like that, the status will change from colleges that fight for their study to an employed person that has hundreds of millions of debt. This can trigger depression in the young generation because they have to start to live like adult, not from zero, however, minus. So it's much worse than zero. Now, through all that chaos that I've been talking about, my point is, this is the clear point, guys. The fact is, there is still many Indonesian citizens that have low income. And one of them, they don't really think about their responsibility. So I have another point. My other point is, it can struggle colleges from the debt and their mental or psychology. As I said in the argumentation, it can trigger depression and maybe they can get sick about that. The grades will mostly go down. Yeah, that is really not recommended. But however, to solve that, I'm gonna go with the conclusion plus the recommendation how to solve with that. Let me go into the conclusion. So with all this chaos that I have been talking about, in the end, it will make it challenging for the student. Do you agree? Yes, of course. So I recommend the healthy rules for the student loan. Do you want to know what the rule is? Let me explain. During their college period, they must not be billed with anything, even a penny, until they graduate and pass the job application, usually 6 to 12 months after they graduate. With this system, in my opinion, they will feel less challenging. And that's all from me. Thank you for hearing.